Hey, it's my first video, and I believe it's your first time watching me on this channel. Like the channel name suggests, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We're going to be talking about important life lessons and get many elephants out of the room. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be challenging as well. But we're willing to take this journey together. Thank you for tuning in once again. Today, I want to dive into an important life lesson that we can all learn from, which is choosing integrity and personal conviction over blindly following someone's manipulation, especially when it comes from someone in position of leadership. You know, it is a theme that runs through the Bible and throughout centuries, even in history. But today, I want us to specifically look at the story of Jonathan, David, and King Saul. So grab a seat, because it's going to be a powerful message about character, loyalty, and doing what is right, even when you are under pressure to do the opposite. All right, so let's set the stage. In the book of 1 Samuel, Saul is the first king of Israel. He's chosen, he's anointed by God. However, as his kingdom reigns and expands, Saul starts to disobey God. And God tells him through the prophet Samuel that his kingdom will be taken from him and given to someone else who is more worthy, which is David. So David, a humble shepherd boy, comes to the scene. He's also chosen by God to eventually succeed Saul. But David quickly rises to prominence after fabulously and famously defeating Goliath. You know, Goliath was a Philistine warrior, giant. You know, all the Israelite soldiers were scared of him. But this victory brings David eminence popularity with the people, and King Saul starts to grow deep jealousy and fear of him. Here's where the story takes a darker turn. Instead of celebrating David's success as a part of his kingdom's strength, this is what Saul did. Saul becomes consumed with paranoia. His jealousy metamorphoses into hatred, and he sets his sights on eliminating David. You know, so in 1 Samuel 18 verse 9, we read that Saul kept a jealous eye on David from that moment forward. Saul, the leader, now started using his power to spread animosity towards David, even trying to convince those around him, including his own son, which is a protagonist of this story, to join in the quest to destroy David. Wow. Now, here's where we get to Jonathan. He's one of the most admirable figures in the story. Jonathan is King Saul's son and the rightful heir to the throne. By all logical standard, he should have seen David as a threat to his future reign. I mean, it's something that he should have never thought of, following David, because that's at the expense of losing your reign. But Jonathan could have easily been swept up by his father's jealousy and hatred. After all, Saul was not just his father, he was his king. But Jonathan does something incredibly brave, very brave. He chooses not to follow his father's irrational hatred. Instead, he sees the value and integrity in David and chooses to support him. So in 1 Samuel chapter 18 verse 3, we read that Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. This was a friendship rooted in mutual respect, not politics or personal ambition or anything else. So Jonathan expressed a warmth of love to David, not on the basis of the hatred his father had for him, but based on his personal conviction. Jonathan's choice is a powerful reminder that we should never let someone else hate you, no matter how influential they are, dictate our actions, cloud our judgment. You know, instead, I think that we must look at the person in question, evaluate their character, and make our decision based on our own values and conviction. You know, in Jonathan's case, we knew David was a man of integrity who was chosen by God. Jonathan, you know, he respected that, even though it meant going against his father and jeopardizing his own future as a king. He chose loyalty to God's plan and to a righteous man rather than blind loyalty to his father's destructive ambition. It gets more deeper. You know what I believe? I believe Jonathan's story is a call for each of us to follow our personal convictions, especially when a leader or someone we admire is consumed by personal vendettas. Personal convictions, not in the sense of doing all bad by yourself because this is how you feel or this is what you think is right, but in context. Too often we see people joining in on hate, not because they themselves hold any ill will towards the target, but simply because their leader does. So in life, whether it is in politics, at work, or even within our social circles, there will always be people who will try to manipulate others into sharing their negative views. This can come from a place of primarily, all the time I see this, it comes from the place of insecurity and then jealousy, personal ambition, just like in Saul's case. But here's the thing. Their hatred doesn't have to be your hatred. Jonathan shows us the importance of independent thinking. He could have easily inherited his father's feelings, but he didn't. Instead, he chose to stand on the side of righteousness, loyalty, and integrity. We come back again. Righteousness, loyalty, and integrity. He saw the bigger picture, that David was an honorable man who had done nothing wrong to deserve Saul's wrath. Imagine what the world would be if more people followed Jonathan's example. What if instead of blindly following leaders who promote hatred or division, we all made our own decision based on integrity and personal conviction? It's a challenge to all of us, and that's the power of our personal convictions. All right, so now let's look at the other side of the story, which is Saul. And to the big question, what happened to Saul as a result of his obsession with hatred? Well, Saul's jealousy and his hatred towards David, it didn't just destroy his relationship with David, obviously. It also caused Saul to make irrational decisions day in and day out, which ultimately led to his downfall. So Saul's reign became marked by chaos and paranoia and insecurity. His hatred to David didn't bring him peace or power. Instead, it consumed him. In fact, his fixation on eliminating David caused him to lose focus on his role as a king and leader of Israel. This is a cautionary tale for anyone who allows hatred to take root in their heart. So Saul's hatred didn't just affect David, it tore apart his own life, his family, his kingdom. In the end, Saul lost everything, including the loyalty of his own son, who remained devoted to David. So, what's the lesson here? Just because someone is in a position of power, whether it's a leader, a parent, or someone you look up to, chooses to hate or seek revenge, doesn't mean you have to join them. You have the ability to choose differently, to rise above the bitterness and to stand for what is right. Jonathan's friendship with David is a timeless example of choosing value, integrity, personal conviction over hatred and manipulation. I always tell people this. Even when faced with pressure from the closest of sources, choose to do what is right, not what is easy. So next time you find yourself in a situation where you are being encouraged to take on someone else's hatred or animosity, take a moment to step back. Think for yourself. Ask yourself, is this really my battle? Is this in line with my values? Or am I just being swept up by someone else's emotions? Let's take a page from Jonathan's own story and choose integrity over hatred. Be the kind of person who stand up for what is right, even when it's difficult. I know it can be difficult sometimes. You're turning between whether to go with Saul or to go with David. I know it can be difficult. Yes, it can. Even when it's difficult, refuse to be manipulated by other people's vendettas. Thanks for watching. If you found value in today's video, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who might need this. Until next time, choose kindness, choose integrity, and keep doing what is right. Thank you.